Okay, I start lecture on meditation now. So there are few things there. Like we can distinguish two main aspects about meditation that I want to talk about, and one is body aspects and second is mind aspects. So of course, mind aspects are much more important than the bodily aspects, but since bodily aspects are simpler, so I will start from that. It will also be an update because I haven't been speaking about this for a long time, and I think I've changed my view a little bit on these things. So, because of course we have to meditate in some posture, right? So, the official Buddhist approach is that there are 4 postures of meditation, so pretty much every one possible. Sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. There is also like some additional, let's say, 5th posture, because Ananda, the attendant of the Buddha, got enlightened when he was putting his head on the pillow. So this is the 5th posture, like putting your head on the pillow, and this exact moment, he wasn't yet lying down, he was just about to lie down. This is where he got enlightened, supposedly. So this is the 5th posture. But yeah, 4 main postures. And of course, theoretically, all 4 are perfectly well for meditation. But let's be honest that the sitting posture is the most common. Yeah. So we have to sit correctly, let's say. So what are these sitting postures? And for example, Ajahn Brahm is saying that the most important thing is that the posture is comfortable. So in general, Bodhinyana monastery is putting emphasis on that the posture should be comfortable even if you sit on chair. So they don't have this thing that you should be sitting in these yogic postures. I think that's very wise. I think especially for beginners, it's most important that you just sit comfortably in meditation. But I want to add that it's wise to connect ancient wisdom with modern approach, like scientific research, in some aspects at least, and modern knowledge about health. We live in completely different times than when Buddha was living 2,500 years ago in India. So we have like these common problems with back issues. We sit too much in general. So I think we should be extra careful with doing additional long sittings in meditation. So how to approach this? So there are many approaches. First of all, I think the best approach, number 1, is to just do something else before and after meditation. So let's say you can do some standing or walking before meditation, or some exercise. The best to do some exercise before meditation and some exercise after meditation. So, there are many exercises that can help your back. So you can just stretch it before and after. And then if you do that, then you know that you have done something for your back. And because of that, you won't be feeling like you're damaging yourself during meditation. And if you just do regularly the exercises, then your back should be completely okay. And then you don't have to have like perfect posture during meditation, because it's not easy actually to sit perfectly. And so this is number 1 approach. Just do some exercise for your back before and after meditation. Of course, everything has to align with your own personal conditions, which I will go back to later, or maybe even I will just say straight away that there is a principle that is universal, that applies both to body and mind aspects, and that is to just be aware of cause and effect and to observe how certain things bring certain results. So you just observe how do you feel while sitting in this posture, in that posture, and that's how you get feedback from your body, from your sensations that you feel, like pleasant, painful, neutral, and then you know, okay, this posture leads to better results. for the body and for the mind. So it's better to keep that posture, for example. It's better, for example, if I switch postures after 30 minutes, let's say, or whenever I feel like that. So what is important is that you slowly learn how certain processes, be it posture or some mind processes, lead to certain results. And that's how you know if something is serving you. And this is the best approach in general, because no instruction can be universal for everyone, including bodily postures and mind processes. So it's always good to just observe, and then you just apply whatever you learn is working for you. So this is great, because it's something universal that can apply to every individual. So every individual can find his own way through all this meditation and Dhamma practice process. So that is very important. And what else? Of course, there are these yogic postures and various ergonomical postures, let's say. So you just have to feel for yourself, let's say, how do you feel meditating in like ergonomic posture, let's say, on an ergonomic chair. That could be helpful as well in the long run. Or perhaps you want to go into these yogic postures, but like cross-legged postures or other yogic postures. But in my opinion, it's better to do that coming from a place of actual yogic training. So, because it's not the best way to open your hips or to, practice your sitting posture by just going into that posture, because it's counterintuitive, but actually when you do that, your body may not be ready for that posture to be sitting in such a prolonged time, and then you may be damaging yourself a little bit. And there are other yogic exercises that allows you to open certain aspects of the body and to prepare your body to then sit in this posture without any issues. So, of course, I won't be giving you now like a yogic lecture, because I even lack knowledge. I just will check how yoga, not yogic, but yogic. Sorry, I'm still learning. Anyway, so yogic postures, but you can, either look for YouTube videos how to prepare for cross-leg sittings, or go to a yoga class and ask your teacher. But if you really want to sit like a Buddha statue, then it's better to really get some yoga training before, so you don't harm yourself when you do that. To summarize what I've said already, just sit comfortably, do exercise before and after so you don't feel like you're damaging yourself, and just find the best posture. But if yogic postures do you some harm, then just don't do that until you prepare your body. So this is pretty much what I want to say about this. And of course, you may change postures how many times you want during meditation. And it's best to just learn how to be still for as long periods as possible, because meditation is also about stillness. So learn to be still and change posture only when you really have to. But the best outcome that you want to anticipate is that when you're sitting, you pretty much forget about your body. And that's when things are going really well. So now to the mind stuff. Scientific research does divide meditation into three main categories. And they are pretty wise, I say, especially the first two, which is focused attention and open monitoring. So focused attention is all kinds of meditation that are about focusing on one object, for example, on the breath or kasina or, mantra, whatever. Something you focus on, your entire attention. And so focused attention meditation is, for example, let's say you observe the breath, which is the most classic Buddhist kind of this meditation. And let's say you wander. So you start to think about something, or something distracts you. Then you go back to the breath again and again and again and again and again. and again and again. So this is how it works. You simply have to be mindful, sati, sammasati. In this context of meditation, on focused attention, you just are mindful of your mind, and when you see your mind is wandering out of what you're supposed to be focusing on, then you just go back to the sensation of what you're focusing on. And this meditation is especially good according to Buddhist texts. There is sutta about this, that Buddha says that breath meditation is specifically great for reducing thought activity. So this focused attention is great for stopping thinking. It's actually the only way you can do that, actually. So if you want to reduce thinking, then focused attention meditation is the way to go. And I think this is a training that all of us should start doing. Just like you want to train your body, you want to train your mind, and really learn how to stop thinking. Because as Ajahn Sona says, many things on the path are not solved, but dissolved. So you're not solving problems, you're stopping thinking about them. And this is how you dissolve the problem. And pretty much, most of the path of liberation is not solving problem, but dissolving the problem. So from deep Buddhist perspective, actually trying to solve things is a way of samsara pretty much, and you're still trapped in a way. But when you stop doing that, you dissolve, then you are liberating yourself. Of course, it's a simplification, but it's very true in many ways. And Ajahn Sona would say to that, because of course our thoughts and our emotions are very convincing us that we should put attention on them, that it really deserves attention and it should be resolved, it should be solved, it should be done something about. And many people rebel against this Buddhist approach that we should dissolve this because, you're irresponsible, you're deluded. But actually, from Buddhist perspective, when you dissolve the problems, it's actually very good because this is the way out and this is the best thing for everyone. So many things are not to be solved but dissolved. And stopping thinking can do that. So this focused attention meditation on the breath can be extremely helpful in that. It's connected also with insight because, as Ajahn Chah was saying, insight and calm are like samatha, calm, insight, vipassana, true seeing are connected. Insight helps you become calm more quickly, and calm helps you deepen your insight. So how insight goes into that? Well, because of course our mind and our environment can rebel against this dissolution of problems. Because, as I said, they will say you're irresponsible or you're or stupid or you're deluded or something. But actually, as Ajahn Sona is saying, it's the opposite. It's the people who wants to solve everything are deluded, and people who wants to dissolve things are wise and they see things as they truly are. Because ultimately, there is nothing to be solved because everything is anicca, dukkha, anatta. This is where the insight comes. So if everything is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and non-self, therefore non-self, it's not worth clinging to. And nothing in reality has substantial existence, like sabbe dhamma anatta. Right? Sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, sabbe dhamma anatta means all formations, that all conditions are impermanent, all formations, conditions are non-satisfactory or suffering, and all phenomena are no self. So, ultimately, there is nothing that has any substantial reality. So, actually, there is wording in the suttas that in Nibbana, in Parinibbana, things cease without reminder. So there will be no trace of anything. And since there is no trace of anything, like there is no trace of bird flying through the air, then ultimately after some time, everything that we are experiencing now will be gone. So it doesn't really matter in this way. It matters on the path, it matters in samsara, but ultimately it won't be, it won't matter at some point. Like it will be gone. And if letting go of that, that's the thing that brings us to the ultimate goal of parinibbana, then because we get closer to nibbana through virtue and through letting go, and exactly stop thinking is letting go itself, because when you stop thinking, you stop perceiving and you stop like creating this reality. So this is how it gets dissolved, because this reality is created in the first place all the time. It doesn't have substantial existence. It's constantly created. This is the essence of dependent origination. So by stopping thinking, we slowly are getting liberated. So when you have more insight about the nature of reality, then of course it's easier to convince yourself to just observe the breath. Because, you know, you're not doing this, oh, I observe the breath, I will gain something, maybe you will, but it's like you understand the necessity of the situation. Like this is the only way to, I mean the only way that this is the only technique, but the form of the process is to stop creating reality is the only way to get liberated from it. And the Buddha said this is the best object to stop thinking. That's why, for example, Ajahn Brahm puts so much emphasis on stillness, breath meditation, letting go, no thoughts. So this is important. But let's be honest, it's not that simple meditation. And there is another kind of meditation, which is open monitoring meditation, which is similar in many ways, but different at the same time. So what is open monitoring meditation? Now I'm talking about these scientific divisions. Open monitoring meditation is when you simply allow everything to be experienced as it is. So it's like you're in a way detaching yourself from experience, but at the same time you allow it to completely be as it is. So, for example, let's say I close my eyes and just meditate and, okay, there is a breath. Okay, I allow it to be. There is some thought. Okay, I allow it to be. There is some sensation. I allow it to be. There is some sound. I allow it to be. There is some feeling. I allow it to be. So this is like a mantra. I allow, I allow, I allow, I allow, I allow. And in this way, we're not creating this tension or resistance to experience. And this is liberating in itself a lot, because it's different kind of feeling, let's say. When you focus your attention, you slowly stop thinking through like focusing so much on the one thing that other things don't arise. But open monitoring is like you let things be so much that it doesn't bother you anymore, because there is no resistance. So this is like surrender, like trust. And this open monitoring is very healing, because there's so much tension from blockages, from just trying to control things. And this open monitoring allows you to just let things be. And it's very calming in a different way. So actually, I think open monitoring is more basic form of meditation, because it's easier, it's more fundamental, because if you don't know how to do open monitoring, then I don't think you will have much success with focused attention. Because I think it's like a pagoda, and the open monitoring is the foundation where you learn how to be and not create tension and to be relaxed, and then you can start building on that. And that's even in scientific articles on meditation, there is this conclusion that, I mean observation that there are hybrid meditations that connect open monitoring with focused attention. And actually, really a lot of meditation is a hybrid meditation, because even when you do the focused meditation on the breath, the correct way to meditate with the breath is to accept the breath as it is. So this is hybrid. You focus attention on the breath, but you add a little bit of open monitoring that you allow the breath to be as it is, without judgment, without will, let's say. But on the other hand, there are open monitoring meditations that in general you allow everything to be, but at the same time you focus at a certain thing, like for example the breath, or like I say, this cloud of energy, the cloud, right? This mind main body, sometimes it's called, or energetic body, this prana, where you can feel all these strange spiritual sensations going on in your consciousness. So this is how you focus on something, or inner silence, the sound of silence that Ajahn Sumedho relates to, Nada Yoga relates to that. So for example, you do open monitoring, but at the same time you gently direct your mind to, let's say, this energetic body or inner silence. So this is also hybrid meditation. But as you can see, it's a matter of a continuum then, where, let's say, this breath meditation is like mostly focused attention with a little bit of open monitoring, and this focus on, let's say, inner silence and the cloud of energy is mostly open monitoring, where you allow your thoughts, emotions, like even images in your mind, but you slightly focus on certain things. So it's a matter of degree. And I think it's good to understand that there is no one way in a way. Because I think ultimately you can get very deep with all different techniques, which will be more discussed during the Dhamma talk later, because it's connected with virtue. Even the Buddha said that you cannot get into jhana without very good virtue. So Ajahn Brahm also confirms that. So it's not like just meditating in a certain way will get you very deep. It's impossible. Like, it's a spiritual path of heart that gets you there. And meditation is just like a vehicle in which you take your heart and it can launch somewhere. But yeah, it's very connected to the whole life. But what I mean now is, even these vehicles, these techniques are different, and in my opinion, there is no point in arguing which are better or worse, because honestly, there's so many techniques and approaches as there are teachers, or maybe even as there are practitioners. So if we have this dream that, yeah, all Buddhist teachers will teach us the unified method of meditation that everyone can follow and expect great results, then this dream is not real, because honestly, pretty much every teacher has different kind of approach to meditation, or maybe students of some teachers have very similar approaches. But even students of teachers have their own spin on their way of meditating, all right? But if all of them claim that this works, that they get very deep with that, then who am I to argue? And I also, in general, I really like to be open-minded and accepting of many different approaches. So I think, yeah, if something works for someone, great. Like, there is the Ajahn Brahm method, the Ajahn Thanisaro method, many other methods. I just personally like pretty much these two that I've described right now, like a classic samatha meditation, which is this focused attention on the breath and for reducing thought activity, and my main kind of meditation I do is this open monitoring, with just perceiving these energetic sensations and inner silence. So, of course, there are many approaches, but I like to think of it like when you have
funnel.
Yeah, funnel. When you have a funnel and you put a ball into it, no matter where you put it, it will make a circle and go to the center. So this works similarly. Whatever approach you take, it will get you to the same spot eventually, I think. So this is good. And so that's why when I do guided meditation, I always say, just practice as you want. Like, I don't force anyone to practice in the way that I recommend. And even like my recommendations are very like slight, like they are not very strong. It's just something I suggest that maybe you want to try it out, but you don't have to. So yeah, but always remember this principle I was talking about, that just see for yourself, cause and effect. What processes leads to what results? How do you feel? This is what Ajahn Sona says. What is the most important question? How do you feel? Because this is what we all truly care about. We want to be happy and we don't want to suffer. So if some form of meditation makes you really happy and in the wholesome way, then yeah, this is great. You don't need any other confirmation that it's working for you. So this is pretty much it. And of course, there are other kinds of meditations, especially Metta meditation, like Brahma viharas in general, which is divine abidings or divine emotions in a loose interpretation. So loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So we want to develop this as well. I think you don't have to do it in separate sitting. I think you can do them in one sitting. For example, you start from samatha and go to metta, or start from metta and go to samatha, or go samatha, metta, samatha, like in one sitting. This is the usual way, actually, I do it. It depends on the, as I said, cause and effect. Just observe what works for you. I find it nice because I like to calm my mind a little bit first. Then doing some metta brightens the mind, and then again I can calm the mind again from this brightened perspective. So also you can start from metta sometimes. It's by metta I mean all Brahma viharas, because actually I think compassion is more fundamental for me personally. I think metta is higher than compassion actually. There is sutta support for that. This is pretty much it. And metta or all Brahma viharas are extremely important. Actually, if you really, the deeper you understand the Dhamma, the more they are the same. Like, let's say there are these three pillars of Dhamma, the three pillars of meditation, which is samatha, which is calm, vipassana, insight, seeing, true seeing, and loving kindness or Brahma viharas, which is, let's call it spiritual love or compassion. So these three, even Ajahn Brahm gave this simile that they are like three dogs that goes together to the mountain, right? Like, let's say samatha is this big, how are they called? Yeah, Bernese mountain dog. Bernese mountain dog are these bear dogs, these great, furry, very calm dogs. So samatha is like this dog. Metta would be like, I don't know, border collie maybe. I don't know which dog is like super emotional and creates very strong bond, but probably border collie is a good example. And vipassana, I don't know, but some very alert dog, very guarding and alert. So these three dogs are friends actually, because sometimes there are these debates that, when you practice samatha, then you only this vehicle, or practice only compassion, or only insight. And there is like this tension and war of ideas and views. But actually, they are all friends. Because if you really have strong understanding of the Dhamma, which I think is slowly, it's the best to root it deeply into, if you have to pick one, I would pick compassion. And by virtue in general, like true goodness, then you will understand that you breathe, your every breath is like, in a way, a breath of compassion. Not because, I miraculously, by breathing, heal the whole world. That would be ego-trippy a little bit, I think. But it's because you understand that by breathing and not proliferating samsara, just reducing your thought activity, you are liberating yourself slowly. And by liberating yourself, you are less of a burden on samsara. So it's like, like people who, for example, are very frugal. Like let's say they spend less money, they don't need to be so difficult to to be satisfied, and they don't need to have so much power or so much money or so much whatever, then these people put less burden in the world. And in a way, even when you get really deep on the path, you start to understand that even thinking is burdening the world. So if you want to have really deep compassion, then you want to think less, because you will be creating less burden on others if you think less. At least if you don't think bad thoughts, because good thoughts can be good. Yeah, Buddha said it himself, that good thoughts are good, but no thinking is even better. So every breath can be breath of compassion, because it's like, yeah, I don't use so much energy. I don't waste energy. So this is wholesome. And also it's connected with insight as well, right? Because when you just breathe, you're very calm. But it's also connected with insight, because you understand, yeah, why should I take something else up if everything is anicca, dukkha, anatta? So yeah, just breathing, because just letting go of samsara, right? That's why your insight and compassion actually makes it so much easier to just be calm. Because then there is no rebellion, because you know you're doing something good. Because you, for example, know that this is good for the world. And you know that you are not losing anything, because everything is anicca, dukkha, anatta anyway. So insight and compassion just makes it natural that you want to focus on the breath, or on your meditation, or on open monitoring. And this is what Ajahn Brahm gets to as wisdom power and not willpower. Because it's not like you're forcing yourself. Oh, I really want everything in the world. I want to have the most power. I just want to have everything, But yeah, I will just focus on the breath. Well, why it doesn't work? Because it's not easy to convince yourself that by observing the breath you will gain more power or more money. Because yeah, let's be honest, observing the breath is not the best way to get rich. Or to be the king of the world. So you will feel that it's the BS, right? It's not true. So yeah, maybe I should go to work, or maybe I should improve my social status. So you don't, quote, quote, waste your time on watching the breath. But when you have completely different vision of reality, that actually hoarding more and more power and everything is, in a way, counterproductive from the Dhamma perspective, and that letting go of formations is getting you closer to the ultimate happiness, then it completely changes everything. That's why wisdom power makes you don't need to force yourself to focus, because it's like natural inclination, because it's beneficial. Because you start to understand that Nibbana is much more beneficial than being president of the United States, and Nibbana is much more beneficial than being a millionaire, right? So we don't lose this wish to be happy, truly happy, but we understand where happiness lies. We get wiser, so we more and more understand what makes us happy. And that's why our motivation remains the same. We just want to be free of suffering and be happy. But we understand that completely different things bring that, so it's natural we want to focus on that. So that's why it's wisdom power. Because of wisdom, it's much easier to focus. And sometimes people think that, I want to add one more thing. Because it was discussed lately even on Sutta Central Forum. Partially, because some people might think, but so we want to let go of samsara, but people may think that very conflicted, because we have different aspects of ourselves. Unless we are really deep on the path, then we have a lot of this worldly thing. Most of us who come to these meetings, we are lay people who are interested in spirituality. We have both spiritual and worldly sides. So, but what I mean by that most of us practice Dhamma, which is we really make certain steps to get closer to liberation and to understanding of non-self and three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta, to let go of things and stuff like that, to develop virtue and compassion. But at the same time, we have our attachments. Different people have different attachments. Some people are attached to certain pleasures, to certain activities. To some people are more attached to power, to money, to family, to sexuality, to social status, to getting attention from others, to beauty, to, art, whatever. we have different attachments. And this is this worldly side. And people think that if you want to be a stream enterer, which is the first stage of enlightenment, then you have to let go of everything like completely. But this is not true. And this was a huge discussion between, let's say, pretty much whole Buddhist world versus Hillside Hermitage. Where Hillside has this extreme view that you have to let go of everything to be a stream enterer, but this is pretty much the suttas counter that pretty strongly. Even Bhante Sunyo took voice, and yeah, this is not the case. For example, you don't have to be celibate to be stream enterer. Because there are many suttas which say that even once returner, which is second stage of enlightenment, doesn't have to be in celibate. Or celibacy in this case symbolizes all sensual pleasure. So does it matter if you want to play games or watch movies or listen to music or it's sexuality or whatever? Any sensual pleasure, this dissolves at the anagami stage, which is third level of awakening. So what stream enterer does is he, for a moment, lets go of everything. So let's say you have some hyper deep meditation when you get stream entry. So at this point you have let go of samsara, but you have let go for a while. And then it restarts. Like your asavas or vasanas, very deep sankharas, these outflowings of defilements, go back. Right? It's like the Ajahn Brahm says, and many, which is the Buddhist view, that jhanas temporarily stop the defilements or how they are called in English, hindrances. Yeah, hindrances, nivaranas. But they come back. And we can experience that on a very much subtle level in our daily life, because it's amazing how there are states of consciousness where I feel personally that I don't want anything. Like I just value peace. I don't want anything in life. But I have other states of consciousness when I really want something. So I can experience almost complete lack of craving at certain time and extreme craving at the other time. So Sotapanna is someone who, I don't say I'm Sotapanna by the way, it's just Sotapanna means that there was one moment when someone has had extremely deep meditation, they've seen Dhamma and yeah, they got stream entry, but that's not like, it means that they have no attachments whatsoever. Because they had no attachments at a certain point. But it's like, you've seen it, but it's not realized fully in whole life. There are still strings of attachment going on. So Sotapanna later works on to slowly dissolve these attachments. But it's not like they are not there. So I do this digression, let's say, because I want to say that it's okay to feel conflicting things on the path, because it's normal. Sometimes we have very Dhammic mindset, sometimes we have very worldly mindset, and these things can coexist because it's the nature. They have to coexist because no one is becoming fully enlightened like that. We have all certain attachments that dissolve slowly over time, and it's just we slowly deepen this Dhammic approach. And this is the essence of meditation. This is what meditation aims at. It's slowly training your mind in very skillful things that, first of all, slowly dissolves all these attachments and slowly transforms our minds to more liberated one. But at the same time, it trains or increases our virtues that are connected to whole life. So, for example, loving kindness meditation or compassion meditation slowly makes us more compassionate towards everyone we meet. No thinking meditation slowly stops all this proliferation. Insight meditation increases the detachment, this healthy detachment. So, yeah, this is what the Buddha was saying, like in this, for example, sutta about gold. I think it's AN 3.101 and 102, where he was speaking about gold purification. You have to do it again and again and again and again. And it was also the sutta about white cloth. If you want to have a dirty white cloth, if you want to make it completely clean, you have to wash it again and again and again and again. So this is what we are doing, again and again and again and again. And such is the way of life, that everything is like granular in a way. Like, for example, let's say you have a beach and there's a lot of sand. So every particle of sand is just one particle. But there are so many on the beach, right? By the shore. So, but this is the way of life. Everywhere, everything is made of atoms, particles. So there are many particles of attachments in ourselves. So it takes a long time to process it. That's why just be all right with wherever you are, wherever we are. And that also learns us not to be so judgmental, because everyone has their own karma. Everyone has their own conditioning. Everyone probably is trying to do their best. So, this is very important to keep that in mind. And in meditation, we simply take steps in the right direction, in the direction of liberation and more true spiritual love. And it doesn't mean it happens from overnight. It's just a very slow process in which we have to accept all parts of ourselves and slowly develop the more wholesome version of ourselves, let's say, of our no selves. So yeah, this is pretty much it. I will also, speak much more on this virtue and compassion during the main talk, but I think this is enough as an introduction to meditation. So to sum it up, just I won't be repeating things about the posture, but about the mind aspects. You do certain meditation that is wholesome. You watch the cause and effect. That's how you know if it's leading in the right direction. And you just apply that whatever works to purify the mind and to brighten the mind, to inspire the mind in the wholesome direction. And slowly you deepen this process again and again and again and again. And this is like a very healthy habit that we add to our lives. And it slowly guides us to the right direction. So thank you for your attention. I will leave it there.